the college football playoffs on New Year's Eve. We break down the games, give you our best bets, and it all starts right now. Hey guys, it's Matt from GrandstandBettors.com. We're back with our college football plays for the 2022 season. We'll get to those bets in just a moment. But first, make sure you go ahead, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss any of our free plays, predictions, and contests in 2023. And while you're at it, smash that like button if you are ready for the college football playoffs to start. I know I am. So without further ado, let's dive in to the matchup between number 2 Michigan and number 3 TCU in the Fiesta Bowl. Michigan, 7.5-point favorites at the moment. The over-under set at 58.5. Now, the Michigan Wolverines, they head into this semifinal matchup winning the Big Ten title over Purdue, which also included a win over Ohio State the week before. And the offense and McCarthy have just looked like they keep getting better as the season progresses. Michigan was undefeated in the regular season, but honestly, there are a few skeptics out there, and guess what? Shocker, we are one of them. Michigan does have wins over Penn State and Ohio State, both in dominant fashion, but the rest of the other 11 wins are against bad football teams. Those 11 wins came at the hand of teams with a combined record of 56-67 on the season. But really, you can only play who's on your schedule, and their offense took advantage of those opportunities, posting a top 5 scoring offense in college football, averaging 40 points per game. J.J. McCarthy threw for over 2,300 yards and 24 TDs, and only threw 3 interceptions on the year, with Bell and Johnson being his favorite targets along the way. And Blake Corum was a beast this season for nearly 1,500 yards on the ground, averaging 6 yards per carry with 19 total touchdowns. But he has been shut down and will not play in this game. Still, though, this offense should be salivating at the opportunity to play TCU's defense, who was 69th in rushing defense and 82nd in passing defense. And we expect the Michigan Wolverines to come out and play a nicely balanced attack to figure where they can expose that defense right off the bat. Now, speaking of TCU, honestly, they have given the Big 12 a real shot here at becoming the first team in the conference to make the college football playoff championship game. Now, remember, Oklahoma was the only other team to make it from the Big 12 in the playoffs, but they lost all 4 times they were in the semifinals. TCU's only loss was to Kansas State in that Big 12 championship game, and boy, that was a game that went to overtime. Great game. Tough loss by TCU, but Max Duggan and this offense, like the Wolverines, they have been the catalyst steering the ship this season. They are right behind Michigan, averaging 39 points per game. Duggan threw for 3,000 yards and 30 touchdowns while rushing for 6 more. And like McCarthy has Corum, Duggan has Miller in the backfield, who has 1,300 yards and 17 total touchdowns on the year. Not only that, but D. Mercado is a nice safety valve when Miller is out of the game. And let's not forget, Duggan can also run the football. The key to really shutting down this passing offense, though, is stopping Quentin Johnston, who has over 900 yards on the year and averaged 17 yards per catch. And that offense and passing game could be stifled on Saturday. Michigan does have the second best defense overall, giving up only 277 yards per game this season, and their third in scoring defense, only giving up 13.4 points per game. So what is our best bet in this Fiesta Bowl matchup? Well, here's the thing. Yes, Michigan has looked great on both sides of the football field, but honestly, when they play a mediocre to good offensive side like a Maryland, Ohio State, and even Purdue, they've given up 20 points per game. The 13 points per game is a little fraudulent in our opinion. They've played some bad offenses this year. TCU, on the other hand, they are not frauds on defense. They give up points. This game should be back and forth. And the fact that the over-under is 20 points less than what both of these teams combine for on offense feels like a trap. But I'm sorry, Michigan's defense, they're phonies, and they're going to give up 20-plus points in this one. And Donovan Edwards will fill in nicely for Corum, and that Wolverine offense is just not going to miss a beat. So with our Fiesta Bowl best bet, we're going to take Michigan TCU over 58.5 points. Now, with our second play on New Year's Eve, we're going to look at a game that everybody's waiting to watch, and that is number 1 Georgia against number 4 Ohio State in the Peach Bowl. Georgia, 6.5-point favorites at the moment. The over-under set at 62.5. Georgia comes into this matchup as the only other undefeated team in college football this season at 13-0, beating LSU 50-30 in that SEC championship game. The theme of offense continues in the semifinals as the Georgia Bulldogs are also putting up 40 points per game. Stenson Bennett has thrown some bad interceptions this year, but still has a 68% completion rate and honestly has an easy job most of the time just handing the ball off to a three-headed monster in the backfield. McIntosh, Edwards, and Milton combined average 6 yards per carry. They have over 1,900 yards on the season and 23 touchdowns. McIntosh is also the third leading receiver on this team behind Bowers and McConkey, and even though Ohio State has the 11th best scoring defense in the league, it's going to be hard to really stop this Georgia offense. Ohio State, like Michigan's defense, we think has some skewed numbers because of their schedule. I mean, let's be honest. The Big Ten, they were really down this year. One of the worst conferences. Only 3 teams had more than 9 wins. And other than Ohio State, that was Michigan and Penn State, which both teams put up a combined 75 points against Ohio State's defense. So look for Georgia to get the looks they want in this one and put up a good amount of points against the Buckeyes. So what about the Buckeyes? Well, in full transparency, and if you notice the jersey, we can't stand the Buckeyes. They are awful in our opinion. They really backed in to this playoff, but they're in and we have to talk about them. Their best wins were against Notre Dame and Penn State. Again, though, with this team, to talk about them real quick, they're all about the offense. They're averaging 44.5 points per game. Heisman finalist C.J. Stroud threw for over 3,300 yards and 37 touchdowns, with Marvin Harrison and Emeka Ibuka having over 1,000 yards each in this season, combining for 21 of those 37 touchdowns. Now, their rushing attack during the season was great, 2,300 yards on the season, but they are going to be without their top 2 running backs in this one. Williams and Henderson, who had 19 touchdowns and 1,300 yards combined on the season, are both out of this game. That is a huge loss for this offense. But really, how much were they going to be able to do against the best rushing defense in college football? Georgia gave up only 81 yards on the ground during the season. So what is our best bet in the Peach Bowl and who is moving on to the College Football Championship Game? Well, we're going to make this one easy. Ohio State sucks. We cannot stand them. Is that 100% biased? You bet it is. It is 100% sour grapes because Ohio State consistently always beats Notre Dame. You bet it is. Look for Georgia's offense to absolutely crush the defense of Ohio State. Look for Stroud to get sacked 8 times against that Georgia defense. Ohio State fans, come at me because Ohio State is going to get absolutely destroyed in this. And if you haven't guessed it, with our best bet of the Peach Bowl, we're going to take Georgia -6 over the Buckeyes. Well, that's it for us here at Grandstand Bettors. Make sure if you're looking for our championship pick, you go ahead again and hit that subscribe button, or you head on over to grandstandbettors.com, become part of our family, and start getting our plays each and every day. In the meantime, though, sit back, relax, enjoy the college football playoffs, enjoy New Year's Eve, and we'll see you next year.